and welcome to everyone watching. My name is Norish Danya, and today I will be presenting my experimental composition for this semester, which is called Monologue, Sagittarius Sun, and Libra Moon. To begin the presentation, I'll be talking about the background of the composition. So Monologue, Sagittarius Sun, Libra Moon is written for voice and fixed media. And it is actually believed that a woman with a Sagittarius Sun and a Libra Moon is appeared to be perceptive and also somewhat expressive. So this composition is an experimental approach of mixing timbre or tone color and texture with the use of multiple sound effects made by the mouth and also inanimate objects. And through the monologue, there is a sense of wit and vulnerability, which is a reflection of the traits of the birth sign. And this composition is composed using graphic notation. To define a monologue, it is a long, tedious speech delivered by a single person during a conversation, and it is typically written and performed as part of a theatrical or broadcast program in plays and films. And what is a Sagittarius Sun and Libra Moon? It is actually an astrological sign based on your birth chart, which can be obtained from your birth date, your birth time, and your birthplace. And through that, the concept of Sagittarius Sun and Libra Moon was created. And a little side note, it can actually be argued that astrology is pseudoscience, whatever. However, people still choose to believe them, I guess, because it brings them a sense of individuality. So personality traits of Sagittarius Sun and Libra Moon include imaginative, indecisive, which definitely defines the script of the monologue. It's witty, it's borderline depressing, but not in the kind of way that is worrisome. The instrumentation of choice, which are voice and fixed media, were chosen because I wanted to experiment on how a basic monologue can be expressed innovatively with the use of manipulated sound effects and samples that were compiled by recording. And the fixed media acts as a support to the main voice to create the experience of the composition. So the structure of the piece is very straightforward. It uses the AB form, which is divided into two parts, which is A and B. And in section A, it starts very stagnant and slow, which then gradually develops into this very loud and messy part, which is in section B. And this part of the piece is referred to as the climax, as it builds up with tension, which can capture the listener's attention. And the reason why I chose for the composition to be structured this way is because I wanted the piece to be a journey where it is bright but full of depth. The ability to create, manipulate, and control various audio waves for various purposes is referred to as sound manipulation, also known as sound control. And this piece is a composition that experiments with sound, the texture of the sound, the timbre of the sound, and after recording the sound effects, which can also be referred to as samples, I then manipulated them by applying various audio effects, and this creates a mixture of timbre or tone color and texture. So the techniques that I've used are time stretching, reversing, delay, reverb, low frequency cut, pitch shifting, and some of the recorded samples that I've used are cortalis, organ sound from the Yamaha PS20, voices that I recorded myself, and samples of the inanimate objects that I've collected. Include writing down on a piece of paper, crumpling up a paper, ripping up a paper, just to give the theme of the monologue as if the person was writing down her thoughts in her diary. And I've played around with these samples by using, time stretching, pitch shifting, just to experiment with the timbre and the texture of the sounds. I am a Sagittarius Sun and a Libra Moon.
I am a Sagittarius Sun and a Libra Moon.
As for the notation, I have transcribed the composition using graphic notation. And in contrast to traditional musical notation, graphic notation actually uses illustrations, text, graphic elements, abstract symbols, and images to communicate meaning to performers in both linear and non-linear ways. And the representation of music using graphic symbols outside the context of conventional music notation is also known as graphic notation, and this is because I wanted to utilize the unconventional usage of notation through these pieces. As you can see from an excerpt from my score, I've used symbols, dashed lines, and boxes to represent the melody, which you can never find from a traditional musical notation. I've also included the time code so that this will be easier for the performer to perform with the fixed media, as it will make the performance more smooth and synchronized. For my references, I was heavily inspired by Kurt Cobain's compiled home recordings called Montage of Heck, and in this album he made audio montages of the sounds he sampled and obtained by recordings. He also used a lot of sound manipulation as well, which then struck an interest in me to do the same. And on top of that, I was also influenced by this particular art film by a K-pop girl group called FX. And in this film, there was a monologue that I actually found really cool and decided that, you know what, hey, I want to do that too.
Like everything tastes like chicken.
I'm a service.
Psychologically, lunacy, emptiness, panic, delusion that the moment will last forever. I'm seized by desire. I hide behind my back and postpone all answers.
So that will be all from my presentation today, and I hope that you have enjoyed watching it. Thank you so much for taking the time, and happy holidays!